Hi, my name is Dave Markway. I'm with B&D Taxidermy, and I just want to take a little bit of time and try to put some videos out there, things that might be useful for you in your shop. I'm going to put out a few of these on different or various topics. Hopefully it'll be helpful. But today I'm going to start out one that's pretty simple, something that I've seen come up on the internet about using them. Can you justify them? Are they handy? And those are the mountain paint, or the Never Touch mountain paint fish rods. You can get these at Research Mannequins. They're used for doing your fish. Some people like them. I've found them to be very beneficial, and to me they're very inexpensive to use and makes mounting fish to your displays a lot easier. This is kind of what they look like. I'm hoping I get my camera zooms all in and everything set right. But basically you have the piece that screws into the fish, you have the barrel that's going to offset into your display, and this is the threaded rod that later you'll cut off, and this is obviously the nut that's going to go in the back side of your display. But I'll show you how this works and how easy it is to use, and I think it'll save you some time. And like I said, they're only about $5.50, so if you feel like it's an expensive product, I don't think the customer is going to mind if you add a few bucks to their fish mount to make the job a little bit easier on you. So anyway, like I said, there's three sizes. This is a 1 1/4 inch barrel by 2 inches long. This is a little bit smaller in diameter barrel. It too is 2 inches long. And you can get these with shorter barrels, but I like my fish to stick off my display to give it more of a 3D effect. But if you mount fish, and if you find out one of your biggest problems is once you get that fish painted and trying to get that fish anchored to the board or the piece of driftwood, whatever you're using, at the same time you're putting fingerprints in your fish, this I think you'll find is going to be very convenient and very easy. What I have is I'm not going to mount a fish on this video. I'm just going to show you how this attaches to the fish, and I'm going to show you how it attaches to the driftwood. I use a piece of flat back driftwood on my fish. They come in various sizes, but I'm going to prep this one and show you at the end how it all works. So basically you're going to start out, I'm going to use a 2-inch barrel. I have a bash that I'm going to be mounting up here later on this afternoon. I've got my fish form from Matt Thompson I'm going to use. On the back of these fish forms, they have a small hole drilled already, or it's not drilled, it's just a hole there. That pretty much is going to be the center, or that's going to get you into your block of wood. And that's what this metal piece is here, or the screw into this. This is going to go into your fish form. So I've taken a small bit on my drill. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go into that wood a little bit and just get a little pilot hole started, which makes this a lot easier to screw in. Your next step is you're just going to push this in there, push it in until you hit wood, and simply just turn this until you get it completely anchored, or your side pieces are going to go against the fish. I like to get it in there good and tight. And when it's all done, I like these side pieces to be level. I think you can see those. Now your next step that you want to do to make sure that this doesn't move on you, there's 2 slots on the side. What I'll do is I'll run 2 smaller screws into those side slots, and that'll prevent that barrel from turning any further. So now I've anchored this Never Touch rod, mountain paint rod, to my fish form. I've got 2 screws on each side of it, and that's going to keep the barrel from turning from side to side, and that's going to be good and anchored. I'll go ahead and remove my nut for right now, because now I'm going to prep the driftwood so later on when I'm done painting this fish that I can attach it to that. But I'm doing this right now for you, just for the purposes you can see how easy this rod is to use and how it makes your job so much simpler. So now you have a piece of driftwood, and what you're going to need is you're going to need an 1.25 inch hole saw, and you're also going to need an 1.25 inch paddle blade. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to put my hole saw in to my drill, and somewhere on this piece of driftwood, wherever you feel like you'd like to get the best pose, usually I go about right in the center. I'm going to start out, I'm going to drill a hole with my hole saw, and I'm going to go in maybe not quite a 1/2 inch. I kind of center the hole saw up on the driftwood where I want the barrel to go into. And I want to start my hole. As you can see right there, this is where the hole saw went in, and I may have went in, I'm going to say 1/4 inch, maybe just a little further, but you don't want to go all the way through, because this is where your barrel is going to sit into. So now I'm going to take my hole saw out, and I'm going to take my paddle bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rim this wood out of here. Okay, so now what I have is I've got the front half done. I want to make sure I get close to the camera so you can see this. This is the 1/4 inch paddle bit. I went in, basically went about where the wood is in the center of this. This is an artificial piece of driftwood. A real nice product that you can get from most taxidermy supply places. I get mine from McKinsey. But now I got to prep the back. So to go ahead and finish this out, I'm going to take a 3/8 drill bit, and I'm going to drill through the center of that. If you can see a dark hole in there, I'm going to go ahead and drill a 3/8 hole completely through. Okay, what I've done now is I ran that hole completely through. And once this fish is painted, what I've done is I've made this a very, very simple. You drop the threaded into this rod right through that hole, and that barrel will fit real nice inside of your driftwood. It'll give you a 3D effect. And also when the fish is mounted, you can turn it to about whatever pose you want. So it's that simple. I just took what little time it was to explain to you to get that prepped. Like I said, once you can imagine, you can add whatever greenery or whatever you want to the back of this driftwood to make it look real nice. But you can kind of get the idea. Now my next spot is, or my next job, is I have to accommodate for this nut, because you don't want this nut sticking out of the back of your driftwood. So I'm going to come back in on this side with my paddle bit, and then I'm going to kind of countersink where that nut's inside that wood. So I'll go ahead and remove this out. Take my paddle bit and I'll do the back side. Okay. Now I've made a hole with my paddle bit on the back side, and basically the only purpose this is going to serve is when you put this nut and thread this nut on the back of this, your nut is going to set flush in there. I probably need to go a little bit deeper with that, but I want that nut to be inside, so when you hang that fish on the wall, this nut is not making it kick out any at all. So I need to go just a little further. Okay, that ought to be plenty. Okay, my nut's pretty much flush on that inside of that wood. And if you look inside this, you still got a good 1/2 inch of wood, so it's not like it's completely through. You don't want that. You don't want that completely through. Once that fish is mounted, you put that fish on there. You're just going to take your nut. You're going to screw it on the back thread like this. Kind of a long thread, but you'll cut all this off. This is all just added extra. Screw that nut all the way into that hole. Then once you get that fish where you want it, and you position it, if you want it going up, you want it going down, whatever pose you or your customer prefers, now that fish is good mounted. And you can tell it's a very easy way, and I never literally have to touch this fish at all during the mounting process. What I'll do is I will take a small saw, something, this is plastic so it's very easy, cut that excess off flush with the nut, and then send it out the door. Something else I want to show you while we're here. In the meantime, I will mount my fish with this rod on. It's not a problem. My seam in the back, what I'll do is I'll just cut the skin around that. I always seal my fish with some type of caulk, or some people use epoxy sculpt, or whatever you prefer. Like I said, this is not a fish mounting demonstration. This is just a display, a mountain paint fish rod, a never touch rod. But my wood, there, it's that easy to prep, that easy to use. Now, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and mount my fish with this on it. It's not a problem, not going to be in the way. I've got a cradle when I mount my fish, and I'm putting all my skin where it's supposed to be. Carding my fins and everything like that. This is not a problem. But once you have that fish mounted, in fact, I'll get the skin on it and I'll get it pretty much set. But when I go to card my fins, you can tell this is a fish. This is a smaller fish that I done earlier. But now this fish is painting, waiting to dry, or it's waiting to dry to be painted. I'm sorry, but you can tell it's got the same barrel. Makes a real nice place. I can stand here, I can card my fins with no problems. And I've just put this together. You can build whatever you want, and it's the same way. I can put all my fish, or you can build these as big as you want, to put your fish on while they're mounting, or while you're mounting them, or you're letting them dry. Once they're dry and you're ready to paint, I've got a mounting stand, and I'm going to swing the camera around just a little bit. And on my mounting stand, when I'm painting my fish, again, you don't have to do it this way, but this is one of my deer stands. I put my mounting stands, I put a hole in, and basically I run that through there. I'll put the nut on the back. Same thing, I can turn that fish, go any way I want to, turn it around and paint different sections of it, in the mouth and top, the bottom. Kind of keep that loose, and I'll just periodically tighten it up however I want. But this is, once I'm painting it, I'll use my stand on this barrel. Once it's done completely painted, again, I'll pull it off. I'll never touch it. I'll bring it over here. The whole time holding this rod, I'll prepare my greenery on my driftwood or whatever I want to decorate it up with. I'll slide that in, put my nut on, and that fish is done. You don't have to touch the fish, or you don't have to try to drill through the back, trying to hit that piece of wood. And I find that to be a very, very useful tool. And like I said, this mountain, I never touch rod. You can get them at Research Mannequins. They're only about $5.50. Sorry, about $5.50. If you think that's expensive, I don't think a customer is going to mind if you up your rates $5 to accommodate for this expense. So I think this is something that you'll find very beneficial.